Hi again, students. Here's the book Zoey and Sassafras. We're starting to get into the middle of the book now. And there are a few words that we need to think about. And they are in the end here on the glossary. And since I have that but you don't, I'll read them to you. So one of the words that we might need to know is the word experiment. Experiment. Zoey used it a lot in this story. What did she do her experiments on? Or why? So an experiment is what you do to answer your question. She had questions about Gorp's fur and what the problem was and what the solution might be. So an experiment is what you do to answer your question. Then you also have, when you begin, you also have a hypothesis. Hypothesis. What you think will happen in your experiment. Hypothesis is like a thought, an idea about what you think is going to happen. You haven't done it yet. It's a good guess about what's going to happen. Materials. Obviously, you need to gather together quite a few different things. She does different experiments all the time. I think that's why her mom put her out in the barn. So in case she spills or, something runs over, it won't be such a mess. But the materials that she has are out in the barn, and those are all the things you need to do your experiment. Usually she has them out in the barn, sometimes in the kitchen, like the mold. And mold is a kind of fluffy-looking fungus that breaks down or eats dead things. We've all seen mold. Sometimes we see it on our own bread, sometimes in other places in the house or outside. But it's a live thing. It's a kind of fluffy-looking fungus that breaks down or eats dead things. Now a preservative, that's something that keeps mold from growing. So in our food, in different areas of the yard maybe, when you don't want fungus growing or mold growing, you add something. Preservatives. Procedure. A procedure. What you do in your experiment. It's the steps. First you do this, next you do that, then, or at last, in the end, you do this next thing. These are the steps, the procedures. You follow 1, 2, 3, first, second, and third. Solution. That's an answer to the problem, a solution, an answer to the problem. There's also at the end, there's the conclusion. Same as in the book, there's a conclusion to an experiment. What you learned from your experiment, hopefully you get an answer to your question. But sometimes you don't. Your experiments don't always work out. But even if they don't work out, you realize that also. So those are some words to help you as we continue going through the book. And then you might refer back to your sheet that you've started, your worksheet, your story map. Everybody by now should have written in the characters. Not hard, there aren't that many. And not too difficult to see who they are. What's the setting? You should have already done that by now too, and that's not very difficult. You know where and when and approximately the area or the place, right? Maybe even the season, if you can tell. And then here we have the beginning, the middle, and the end of the book. Doesn't have to be very long. There's not much space. You just have to write what happened at the beginning, in general, what happened. And now you should have already done that too, because we've passed the beginning. Now it's the middle. And it could be a while. It's going to be from about chapters 5 through chapters 12. And it'll go hopefully a little bit faster now that I've gotten used to reading and you've gotten used to following along. So it won't take too long, hopefully, and hopefully we'll get a couple of chapters in every video. And you just write something short. In general, what has been happening in the middle of the book? What have they done? And then the end, we'll talk about that later, but That will be chapter 13. I think there's like a couple chapters after that, 13, 14, 15 maybe. And that will tell you what the ending is like. So, okay, we'll see you next time that we're reading Zoey and Sassafras. Bye-bye.